For the better part of a year, Nelson Peltz has been highly critical of Disney. And now here we are, just a few days away from the vote that finally will put everything to an end. The proxy vote that Disney has been spending millions and millions of dollars to fight off. Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo saying, you know what? Disney's down the wrong path. We want to help them. We want to help them get out of this. We want to help them get out of this ridiculous agenda-driven identity politics storytelling and get them back to being the family-friendly company that people have trusted for so long. And certainly Nelson Peltz, while on this press tour, has been catching some headlines, specifically when he criticized Marvel and said, do we really need another all-female disaster? Do we really need to be focused on identity politics? But apparently, at least so far, there might be some hope for Nelson Peltz. Wall Street Journal reports Nelson Peltz may lead in votes for Disney board seat. Now, that's certainly just because he's leading at one point in time doesn't necessarily mean that he should be considered the leader in the clubhouse or anything based on all the outstanding votes that there actually are. But as we get closer and closer, you do have a couple people, including big investment companies. And now another one right here, pension fund CalPERS votes for Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo in Disney board battle. As many people as they're trotting out there, you know, whether it's George Lucas or Disney family people to say, hey, we back Bob Iger, it seems like every day a couple of actual investment companies or firms are siding with someone like Nelson Peltz. CalPERS, the influential California pension fund, has voted to shake up the Disney board by backing the election of activist investors Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo, who have waged a months-long battle with CEO Bob Iger and the incumbent board of directors. The fund manages more than $465 billion in assets, owns up to $6.6 million Disney shares, making it one of the company's top 30 investors. Disney declined to comment on this report. CalPERS believes Walt Disney Company will benefit from fresh eyes on its board of directors and voted its company shares in favor of candidates Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo. Now, as all this is happening, it should be important to know that there's a lot of outstanding shares out there, and this has cost Disney so much fucking money and time and attention. Even if Nelson Peltz loses, even if Jay Rasulo loses, they don't get on the board. And even if they do get on the board, the amount of meaningful impact they can have is questionable. However, even if Disney wins and they don't get on the board, and now Bob Iger still has all of his yes men, they will have just spent months with this as their primary fucking focus. For Disney, small shareholders loom large in boardroom fight. Individuals hold as much as 40% of the company's shares, and they may decide a proxy battle that is one of the most expensive in history. Disney has been so focused, running literal like political hit campaigns to try to convince people to not vote for Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo. Instead, keep the status quo, despite the fact that we've seen so many failures at Disney. And again, we've seen multiple commercials from Bob Iger convincing people why they need to let him fix this, even though he is such a big reason this company's in the current place that it's at. And it's just laughable because at the end of the day, even if Disney's able to fend this off and Nelson Peltz does not become part of the board, they have just wasted so much time and energy doing this to keep Bob Iger in total and complete control over that board for a company that clearly is not out of the woods, for a company that, as much as they say we're going to quiet the noise in the culture war and all this bullshit, everything they continue to churn out and all the people they hire, all the people they're working with, it has that same woke agenda that got them here in the first place. It's written all over all of their content. So April 3rd, I believe, will be the deciding vote. That'll be when this happens, and we see this month-long war between Disney and Nelson Peltz and company finally will come to an end.